So you open your fridge to get out the eggs only to find that they expired yesterday. Can you still use them? How strict is this use by date? We've invited Judy Gaiman with Executive Medicine of Texas here today to help explain just how to interpret these dates. It's very confusing. It's a good news, bad news. Because number one, I don't want to eat something that lasts a year. You know, I mean, if it lasts a year, why aren't I taking what makes me last longer?
That's right. Good point. Good point, Susie. You know, I think the big takeaway for the audience here today is that 90% of people throw out food before it actually goes off. And 40% of the U.S. food supply is actually thrown out when it's still good. So we're wasting a lot of food.
But how do we know?
Well, that's the problem. And Congress is starting to address this because a new study came out by Harvard that said, you know, it's misleading. All the use by, sell by, expiration, all of these different things on the food labels, we're confused. We think that it has to do with food poisoning. We think it has to do with the foods going off, but that's not it.
It could have to do with you buying more of it more often.
That's a very good point, and that's one of the misconceptions people don't understand. It is kind of a marketing tool.
Of course it is.
So let's talk about in your pantry what goes on. So you have canned goods, and some of them have, you'll see here, a best by date. Others may have, I don't know if the camera wants to zoom in on the bottom of a can. Others may actually have a time stamp on that. And really the timestamp is, it tells them when it went through their factory or their packaging place, and then they just add a couple years on it, not to confuse people so they don't think it's expired.
Okay, so let me see something here. And this barcode right here, and this says 0, so that's made in the U.S. or Canada, right?
We're back on the barcodes
yes,
again.
I am. Don't want you eating stuff from Thailand
That's
and China.
Right. Well, the thing to understand is that the manufacturers use these as indicators, and their voluntary dates, as indicators of when their food would be the freshest, maintain its color. Like, take chocolate, for example. Sometimes chocolate will turn a little white. Doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it's had a change of color. But people will see, oh, there's white on my chocolate, they'll throw it out, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's bad.
Okay, but this is all very confusing.
It is
so
confusing.
We can't trust the expiration date. How like with milk, we can smell it. We know to throw it out. Thousand Island dressing here, I mean, from all they put in here, you think it'll last 4 years. So when is a good time to throw out dressings after you've opened them?
A lot of times you can actually smell the dressings and you'll know they're off. And I brought this one as an example because I took it out of my pantry. I was like, oh, I didn't even remember I had this, right? And I turned it over and it expired in 2009. So that will not be coming home with me.
But it's never been opened.
It's never been opened. It may still be good, but see, I'm still in the mindset that most Americans are. If the date's on it, it's not good. So let's move along. Milk, a lot of times when you have milk and it has expiration date, you still can drink it up to a week later. Meat has that sell-by date. That's really for the people at the store to know when they need to move it off or regenerate it.
So, and meat and milk, you can smell it. You know if it's sour, and you know if the meat is looking, you know not to use it. Eggs, crack one open. If it breaks, if the yolk breaks, they're bad.
That's
Isn't that right?
And in 3 to 5 weeks after a purchase date is a general rule of thumb of when to throw the eggs out. But they still may be good after that. They just may have a change in texture and color.
Come on. Does this expire ever? Baking soda?
Well, this is why I wanted to bring on the almond milk and the baking soda, because they have one thing in common, and that is the expiration from the time you open them. So there's an expiration on the bottom of the Arm & Hammer, but there's also a place where you write in when you opened it, so then you can actually know in 30 days it loses its freshness.
30 days. I've kept it in my refrigerator
forever.
For 15 years. Almond milk, 7 to 10 days after opening.
But that's a little confusing because they have an expiration date that may be a month from now. But if you open it, it's only good basically for a week.
Okay, and what's this? This is Gerber.
This is Gerber bananas, and then let me bring this over. This is formula.
Aren't just regular bananas good for children instead of out of here?
They are. Good point. But this is important because baby food and formula, the only ones that actually have a true expiration date by the manufacturer.
And so we really stick with what it says. We really
stick with it when it comes to baby food and formula. But the rest of these things, you go by the nose.
There's always this. Stick it in there, taste it. If it tastes bad, toss it. Don't move, because next we're talking about those prescription drugs you have in your drawer and cabinet. And even those that are over the counter, do they ever really expire? Our expert will tell us next.